Hi, I'm Justina Calgiano, and we are talking today on Pet Matters with a very special guest, Nicole MacLean, and she is a foster mom for Providence Animal Ceter. Hi, Nicole.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So I want to talk about you, but I think people probably want to know about this little one.
Oh, yeah.
So can you tell me who that is?
This is Soxs. She was Tiny Soxs, but I just could not imagine calling her Tiny Soxs for 2 months. So I call her Soxs, and she actually responds to Soxs. She is about 15 pounds, probably 15 pounds soaking wet, and she's about 2 years, maybe a little more than 2 years old. I'm figuring this was probably her first litter. She had a litter of 7 puppies.
Wow.
And they range from, the littlest one is probably about 14 ounces, and the biggest one just over a pound. Okay. So they're really tiny. I mean, when they were born, they could fit literally in the palm of my hand. Wow. That's how little they were.
So I want to talk a little bit about when they were born and how you came to have a pregnant dog who had babies. So can you back me up in the process a little bit and tell me how this all started?
Well, I foster through Providence, and when there's always dogs that need to be fostered, because we just don't, we don't want to leave them in the shelter for too long because they get really nervous. And Amelia had sent me an email and said that she had a pregnant mama. Soxs is actually my second pregnant mama. I had another one named Tammy Sue that I fostered, and she sent me an email, said that they had this little girl that they brought up from, I believe, North Carolina, okay, and that they found that she was pregnant. And so they wanted somebody to take her and foster her through her pregnancy and through the puppies being born and then adopted. So I told her that if nobody came forward, because I didn't want to hog all of the pregnant babies, if nobody came forward, I would take her. Well, I think I waited a day, and I asked her if Soxs was still available. She said yes. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to come over and meet her. I'll be there. I'm coming now. So I went over and I met Soxs, and she was just terrified. She was so scared because of all of the noise in the center and stuff, because of all the barking dogs and people coming and going and everything. And I said, I cannot leave her there. So I just took her home with me. And I'm glad that I had thought ahead of time and put a crate in my car, because then I had some place to put her. So I brought her home, and I set her up downstairs in my basement, which is where I keep my fosters. Okay. And
why is that?
Because I have 3 dogs of my own.
Okay.
I have 3 dogs of my own.
Okay.
I have a Rottweiler, a rat terrier, and a little terrier blend. My terrier blend is my newest one. She was a foster, and now she's a foster failure because I decided to keep her. So I have to keep them separate because I don't know how the foster dogs will be with my dogs until they've had a chance to get to know each other. Okay. And especially with a pregnant foster, because she's going to be different than other dogs because she's carrying puppies. So she's going to be a little bit more protective of herself and her area and things like that. Okay. And they also tell you to keep them in a place where it's quiet. There's low light. She has a palace that she lives in downstairs. She has classical music that plays all the time. She has a soft light in there. I have overhead lights when I'm in there cleaning up, but she has a soft light that so it's not real harsh, and it's comfortable for her, and it keeps her away from all the other activity and stuff, so she can relax and get comfortable and get ready to have her babies, right? Okay. So
can I ask you real quick, what would have happened if she stayed in that shelter in North Carolina?
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to imagine what might have happened to her. Yeah. it was, I believe it was an overcrowded shelter. They may have, put her down. I don't know.
Because unfortunately, it's with shelters that don't have the resources, it's more mouths to feed, right?
Yes.
And one dog isn't just one anymore. She's 8.
She's 8. Yes, yes. I have goosebumps just thinking about what might have happened to her. I can't even think about it.
Sure.
I'm just glad that we went and we got you and we brought you up here, right?
Me too.
And she says, I'm just so happy to be here.
So tell me about the babies. There were 7 healthy babies born.
7 healthy babies. The littlest one was, oh my goodness, she was literally, they were all very, very little, but she was literally small enough to hold in the palm of my hand. Yeah. She looks like a baby cow. She is white with black spots. She's the runt of the litter because she has stayed little. I was a little worried about her in the beginning because the other ones were a little more aggressive with, getting to mama and eating and stuff, and they would just kind of push her aside. But it's amazing how God just works this all out. They were taking turns. Some of them would go in to feed, and the other ones would sleep. And then when the other ones were done and they went to sleep, then the other ones would come in and feed. So, and I was weighing them every day for a while. For the first 2 weeks, I was weighing them every day just to make sure that they were all gaining weight. And because I'm always nervous, I ask tons of questions, and I checked to make sure that, that they were doing okay. And I was told that as long as they're eating and gaining weight, then they're okay. Let nature do what nature does. Because I was thinking I was going to have to do supplemental feedings because they were so little. But I mean, she's a little girl too, Yeah. So her puppies were little, and they said as long as they're gaining weight, they're eating and they're getting what they need. Okay. And the first day, 2 days are the most important for puppies because that's when they get all of their antibiotics and everything else that's good for them from mama. Okay. So it's much better for them to feed from her than to get supplemental because they don't get what they need from a supplemental feeding.
Okay. Is it hard to take care of 7 puppies? I mean, that's a lot of dogs.
It's not as hard as I thought it would be because she does most of the work for the first few weeks. She feeds them, she cleans them, cleans up after them. It gets hard when they start pooping on their own. So then, it becomes a pooping machine, and I do laundry like twice a day. Because I keep, you have to keep it clean. Sure. And but it's such a joy to see them growing and playing. I mean, and who doesn't love puppies, Right. And to listen to them develop their little personalities. The biggest one is the biggest baby. It's a riot because if he does not see her in his eyesight, he starts whining, like, where are you? I can't find you. I need you. And the other ones are like, yeah, well, whatever. So it's funny because he's the biggest baby, but he's the biggest of them all. And now they're just starting to do the little Aww. And and it's hard to figure what they're going to sound like when they start to get a little bigger because right now they just sound like little squeaky mice. They
probably look like them too, huh?
They do. When they were first born, I thought, these things they look like baby mice because they were so little. Right. And that in itself is a little scarier too because they are so little. You're afraid to touch them and pick them up and hold them because you're afraid you're going to break them. But you won't. Yeah. You won't break them. Yeah. They're like regular babies. You can just kind of toss them from one arm to the next, and and they do fine. Yeah. And she does great with them. I mean, it's amazing how when she had the puppies, she just knew what to do. When she goes in to lay down with them, she looks to see where there's a spot, and she gets into that spot, and she kind of like wiggles herself down until she's almost on her back. But as she's doing that, she's kind of pushing them away so she doesn't lay on them.
Wow.
She just knows what to do. And then she lays there and she looks at me like to say, okay, now scratch my neck. So I scratch her neck while she's feeding.
Yeah.
And then when she's done, she gets up and leaves.
Right.
So I'm done.
She's over it.
Yeah. I have noticed that she has started standing when they're feeding.
Okay.
That's an indication to me that she's getting ready to tell them that I'm getting tired of this. When they start to get their teeth and when they start to get little nails on their paws, it gets very painful. I would think painful for her. Her belly will start to get red from the nails because when they're feeding, they're kind of kneading her.
Sure.
I always thought that kittens did that only kittens did that, but puppies do it too.
Oh.
And so I think that, I mean, they'll be 4 weeks on Monday, which is June 3rd. So they'll be 4 weeks old on June 3rd. And I'm figuring probably another week after that, and I'll start introducing, puppy food to them.
Okay.
To get them ready, because I think that she's getting to a point where she's going to start, pushing them aside and telling them, I'm done.
Now, puppies go up for adoption at Providence at 8 weeks. So what happens before that time? Will they be with you the entire time?
They'll be with me. When she's done weaning them, she will go in and get spayed.
And when is that?
Well, that's up to her.
Okay.
When she decides that she doesn't want to feed them anymore,
She'll let them know?
She'll let them know. Yeah, she kind of gives them a little. It's funny. She'll give them a little growl or a little bark when she's when she doesn't want them feeding, and that's why it's important for her to have a place to go away from them, so that if she's not wanting to feed, she doesn't have to be in there with them.
Okay.
I know, you're such a good girl. Are you warm? So when she's done completely weaned, when I know that they've been completely weaned, I'll call Providence and let them know. They'll arrange for her surgery, and then I'll take her in and she'll get spayed. And if there isn't a foster family available to take her after she's spayed, then she'll come back and to my house.
Okay.
But she won't be with the puppies at all.
Okay.
Because she will then have been spayed. But she'll go as soon as she's spayed. After she's had a chance to recover, she'll go up for adoption, and I would imagine she'll get snatched up pretty quick because she's pretty cute.
I think so.
Yeah, and she seems to have a extra liking for men.
Okay.
When I'm out walking her and she sees boys playing or she sees, a man, she's like, oh, I want to go see that person.
You do? You do?
She does.
So she'll go up for adoption before her babies. Imagine
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and then her babies will get spayed and neutered when they are right before they're 8 weeks old. Usually about a week before they're 8 weeks old. They'll get spayed and neutered, then they'll come back to me, they'll recover, and then they'll go to Providence. Providence usually does a pup-up event when they have a lot of puppies like that, and they'll start advertising and letting people know we've got these puppies that are available, and people will see them and say, oh my gosh, Mom, Dad, look at these puppies, I want a puppy.
Yeah.
And then the puppies will go up for adoption, and they usually go like that.
Okay. Now, what do you say to the folks who say, oh no, she should be with her babies? Because obviously, humans, it's right for a mother to be with her babies, right? So does that translate to canines or felines?
No, because, people that breed dogs, will breed a dog and have more than one litter. Of course, we don't like people to do that because then that just makes more. Do you want to get down, baby? Here, you can get down. There you go. Is it a little warm up there? All right, you got to stay here, though. You got to stay here, okay? Got all that hair. Yeah, she was definitely getting warm.
Okay.
Dogs and cats are not like that. They'll have their puppies, and when they're done having the puppies and then they're spayed, it's like they're ready to set them off and go into the world. I'm sure years and eons ago, when dogs were wild and had their animals in the wild, they had their animals, and then their animals would go off and have families of their own.
Right.
It's just like us when when our kids grow up and go out and have their families of their own. Well, that's the same way with them. It just happens a little bit sooner,
Yeah.
So, and if she, you don't want to adopt her out with her puppies because, I don't know, I think that she would then not get as much love as, if she's, on her own.
Right. And she's done a lot of work, right?
She has done a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, having all those babies, that is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I can't imagine all those puppies coming out of that little tiny body,
I know. Poor thing. She needs to be spoiled and to be a princess, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's, it's funny because I thought, when I brought her home, I was told that she was very early in her pregnancy, and gestation is about 63 days. So I'm figuring she's going to have her puppies at the end of May, after Mother's Day. And as Mother's Day is getting closer, I'm talking to her and telling her, Soxs, if you had your puppies on Mother's Day, you could be famous. All your puppies would be known as the Mother's Day puppies, and you could be famous. So the week before Mother's Day, I thought, I probably should put the whelping box in her area to get her used to it and stuff. And I did that, and I put her bed in there just so that she knew that she could get in and out.
Yeah.
So I put her bed in there, and she gets in, she starts scratching at her bed, and I was telling her, Soxs, honey, it's your bed, it's okay, you can lay in your bed. Well, I went to bed, and when I got up the next morning and I came downstairs, I didn't hear her little click, 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 clicks on the linoleum downstairs, and I'm thinking, why is she not greeting me?
Right.
So I called her, I said, Soxs, honey, where are you? And I opened up the door, and I hear this. And I thought, oh my goodness, she had her puppies. Well, I open up the door, and she peeks her head out from underneath her bed that she had flipped over, and the babies were all underneath the bed to stay warm.
Wow. That's incredible.
So then I immediately turned the heaters on and with them being as little as they were,
Sure.
I needed to keep that room warm.
Right.
Well, to me, it was hot. But
Right.
To them, it was warm.
Sure.
So.
Incredible mother instincts, huh?
It was. It really was. It was just, I thought, wow, she knew to cover them up to keep them warm.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
You're a good girl.
Now, why are you doing this, Nicole?
Well, I love dogs, and I love animals, and I love being able to help them find homes and them be successful in that new home. See, while she's with me, she's learning leave it, sit, stay. I use the word here. I don't use come. I use here.
Okay.
She learned how to walk on a leash. She's learning how to go potty on the curb side of the sidewalk, which is very important when people don't have dogs and they don't want dogs on their lawn. So she has learned to walk on the curb side.
Very nice.
She is housebroken. She is crate trained.
Wow.
So when she gets ready to go up for adoption, the family that takes her is getting a ready-made dog that knows all this stuff. So now there is a bigger chance of that being a successful thing.
Yeah.
You like to think that when a family comes in and adopts a dog that, it's always going to work and there's not going to be any problems. But sometimes, you get the dog home and it's not crate trained, it's not potty trained or housebroken. They don't walk on the leash nice, and they want, families want a ready-made dog.
Sure.
And so I feel better knowing that she has a better chance of success, because she's had a lot of confusion in her life, the poor thing.
Right.
She was down in a shelter down in the South. Then she got transported up here. Then she was at PAC. Then she was at my house. Then she'll go to a new house. So that's a lot and she had puppies in between all of that.
Right.
So there's been a lot of things going on in her life. So the last thing I want to see happen is for her to go to a family and them not be happy with her and then bring her back.
Right.
And so that's why I do it. And I also, my mom lives with me. and she has Alzheimer's. So taking care of her is very challenging, and it's not a job that you get thanks for. There's no appreciation or anything, and I love my mom. I love my mom to death, but she's really not my mom anymore. And this is my therapy. You know, I know that when I come home, Soxs is going to be thrilled to see me. She's not going to complain about what she's getting for dinner, or, you know, that she doesn't want to wear something, or I just went to the bathroom. I don't have to go again, you know. And so she's my therapy. But it also is great for my mom, though, too, which has been an added bonus. You know, Soxs comes up and plays with my mom, and my mom, you can see the change in her face. She just lights up when she sees Soxs. Now, she hasn't met the puppies yet. I always wait until the puppies are about 4 weeks before I introduce them to my mom. But then I'll bring the puppies up and introduce them. And, I mean, it's pet therapy is a huge thing in our country. And when you see how an Alzheimer's patient reacts to dogs, then you know for sure that it's a good thing, because it just brings her out of her shell. It's something that she knows. They're cute, they're cuddly, they're soft, and it's wonderful. Yeah. It's just wonderful.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So there are other ways to foster besides just a pregnant mom.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the ways that you said, just fostering an adult dog is very similar to fostering Soxs, just no babies involved, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So if folks want to get involved, how would you encourage them?
Oh, just go to Providence when they're open. They can walk through the kennels. They can meet the dogs. They can tell a kennel worker that they'd like to take them for a walk, and they can go out and walk with the dog. They can go in and sit in the crate with them and get to know them. You have to fill out an application to become a foster parent, and that's just their way of saying that they're making a commitment. But it is so much better for a dog to be in a home than at the shelter, because it's very, very loud. I mean, and if somebody's thinking about fostering a dog and they've never been to Providence, they need to go so that they can hear that, you know, it would be so much better for a dog to be with a foster family, and that dog then gets used to being around people, and oh my gosh, that dog is going to love you like crazy, because they're sleeping in a home with people, and where you go in. They're sleeping, you know, in a home with people, and they're going for walks, and some dogs have never even been given toys to play with. They don't even know what a toy is. And so they learn that, you know, what do you mean? I get to play with this toy? You're going to throw a ball and I get to go chase it? Oh my gosh. It's the most rewarding thing in the world to me. I can't imagine not doing it. And, you know, and at the age that I am now, I'm able to do it. And, you know, people think, well, I have kids and they go to school and things like that. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, you can foster a dog, and you don't have to foster for a long period of time. You can do a weekend foster. Okay. You can do a weekend visit, have a sleepover, just to get them out of the shelter just overnight. I get goosebumps just talking about it. Just having them come out of the shelter overnight is like, wow, this is awesome. I get to come out of the shelter for a whole night, and it's just great. It's just great. I say awesome a lot. And you're awesome, Soxs. Yes, you are.
So the $1 million question: how do you let them go?
It's hard. It's hard to let them go, because especially if you foster a dog that's a long-time foster, because you fall in love. But you let them go so that you can take another one, and you can get that one ready to go to a forever home. And so, you know, it's like letting them spread their wings, and there's a family that's going to have this new dog, and they're so happy to have a new family member. And you know, it's hard, but it's doable. You know, I'm sad when I see them leave, You know, I'm usually there the day that they go up for adoption, and I try to come out and meet the new parents and tell them all about it and stuff, and then I stand there and say, bye, I love you, I'll see you again soon. And you know, it's sad, but it's happy at the same time. It's hard to explain. It's like a happy sad. You're crying happy tears because they got adopted and they're going to a new home, and you know that they're going to be happy and they're going to be loved, and that's the best part. You know, seeing them happy and knowing that they're going to be loved. And I mean, and Providence does a great job of making sure that they go to good homes.
Right.
So I've had people say to me, you know, well, what happens if they go to a home where it's a bad home? And I tell them, I would be totally surprised if that ever happened, because people are vetted, you know, and people are interviewed, and they and Providence does a great job at telling people what to expect with a new dog and giving them time to adjust, and you know, and that they're there if they have any questions. That's the best part. And there's training. Right. If they need more training, there's training at Providence. I mean, it's like all the good things about having a dog all wrapped up into one big package with a nice big red bow.
Well, I don't think you can say it much better than that. Nicole, thank you for what you do.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thanks for being here today.
Sure.
So if you want to get started fostering, head to providenceac.org. There's a quick and easy online application, or just stop by the center in Media, like Nicole said. Thanks for your time.
Girl, you were so good.